Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to conservation and careful management of the state's forests to make them more resilient and better habitats for wildlife. ChooseWood.com.
This is St. Louis on the Air from St. Louis Public Radio. I'm Elaine Cha.
We were noticing that there were a lot of plastic water bottles. You know, this is what our scripture and what our teachings say about being good stewards of the earth. I really want this to be something that the whole community feels ownership over.
The word Ramadan is the Arabic name for the 9th month of the Muslim year. It's also one of the holiest months when Muslims fast from dawn to sunset each day and break their daily fasting with iftar, a meal often taken with others. Daar Ul-Islam, a local mosque that's part of the Islamic Foundation of Greater St. Louis, has been hosting iftar meals. It's a lot of food for many people, and it's prepared not only for Muslims, but also for non-believers too. And this year, Daar Ul-Islam has implemented a zero-waste approach to align spiritual values with sustainability practices. Here to talk about her mosque's efforts with Ramadan and their future beyond this particular holy month, we welcome Amma Anwar, co-founder of Daar Ul-Islam's Sustainability Committee and Sustainability Coordinator at Washington University. Welcome, Amna, to the show, and Ramadan Mubarak.
Thank you so much, Elaine.
Now, for those who don't know about the practices of Islam, can you explain what sustainability practices might change during the holy month of Ramadan?
Sure. So I would actually say that sustainability is something that is always present in our practices, particularly in Ramadan, though, because as Muslims, we are called to be really, really mindful, really present, not just in our consumption, but, you know, the things that we say, decreasing arguing. There are so many different aspects of what we try to really control and rein in during Ramadan. So I would say that with that in mind, definitely decreasing waste is a huge sustainability aspect that I think is featured more prominently in Ramadan. It kind of is contrary, though, because during Ramadan, I feel like we see a lot more food waste than we do outside of Ramadan. And okay. I think it's a little bit of that our eyes get bigger than our stomach because we're fasting all day from dawn to sunset for 30 days straight. And so, you know, you will see folks really filling up their plates with a lot more food than they can actually fit in their stomach.
Okay. So what differences have there been? And if you can maybe provide a specific example, the differences between pre-Ramadan sustainability efforts and those post-Ramadan. So I guess on the opposite ends of this holy month.
Yes. So one thing that we do during Ramadan is compost collecting. And that is something that we do every night at the mosque. The mosque hosts about 250 to 300 people every night.
Wow.
It's
a lot of people.
It is a lot of people, and it's a lot of food. And we have an amazing kitchen staff who prepares all the food in these clamshell boxes beforehand to save people time as they're, collecting their meals. They've been fasting all day, and they don't want a line holding anyone up. And so prior to me and my husband getting involved, he co-founded the Sustainability Committee with me. Prior to us getting involved, those clamshells were styrofoam. And styrofoam is an excellent insulator, but it releases chemicals into food when there's something heat, when heat is applied. So we really wanted to, save our community members from that kind of exposure and also really decrease the amount of waste that we were sending to the landfill.
Okay. On that composting note, are there any local businesses in St. Louis that you are working with to do that composting?
Yes, we are working with New Earth Farms. They are absolutely wonderful to work with. We've been working with John Klein, and he checks in regularly with us to make sure that we have everything that we need and we have enough bins. They've been wonderful to work with.
How many bins are we talking about?
So every week he drops off 18 bins, and these are like, full, garbage totes, that you would take out to, every week.
To roads. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Right.
Okay.
So they're very large.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how often does that pickup then come?
So he comes once a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It is. It's a lot. It is a lot. And we try really hard to be efficient with how we stack everything inside of the bins so that we're not taking up too much space. Because those boxes, like if you just throw them in, we would fill up way more bins.
Right,
every
economizing
night.
on the space in there
exactly.
too.
Yeah.
And is there someone who works at New Earth Farms that you already had a relationship with, such that this arrangement has come together, or was it through some other means?
So we actually use them for our personal, residential pickup. So they also offer like a residential compost service, and so they service our home once a week, a much smaller bucket.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, this sustainability work, before the committee came together at your mosque, there was a sustainability initiative that was created in 2018. Was there something very specific that spurred that 5 years ago?
Yes, there was. So my husband is from the St. Louis area, but we lived away for several years and moved back in 2015. And we started attending the mosque regularly, and we were noticing that there were a lot of plastic water bottles. And in our households, that is something we do not use. We feel very strongly about not using plastic water bottles. And it took us a while to gain the momentum, but around 2017, we started thinking, okay, next Ramadan, which is when we see the most water bottles, because that is also just when the mosque is at its capacity and full, and there are a lot of folks attending.
And people have not been drinking water at all
day
during the day.
Right. Exactly. So just like those water bottles, that was the first thing that we wanted to address. And so we worked with, we came up with a game plan and some goals, and we made this little educational presentation for the mosque executive board. And we essentially presented, this is, plastic comes from petroleum, and this is how it's connected to global warming, and, this is what our scripture and what our teachings say about being good stewards of the earth. And so they were super supportive, and they let us collect water bottles during the last week of Ramadan in 2018. And we actually built this display in the entrance to the mosque. And I think there were 2,200 water bottles that we collected just in a week.
Wow.
And we probably did not even get all of them because some people leave with them.
Sure.
And we put out a bunch of informational material.
So it was a full-on campaign.
It was a full-on campaign.
Okay. And was that partly because you were thinking that the idea might not be welcome, or?
I think we really wanted to because it's different when you're just talking to someone and telling them that we really shouldn't use plastic water bottles. These are our beliefs, and when there's a visual aspect to it, and you really see the amount and you see how much trash we're
producing.
Producing throughout the month, it really makes people think. And there was that shock factor. And we got a lot of feedback afterwards. And there were people who just I remember this one family, they showed up one day, everyone with their reusable bottles. And they said, we just bought these because, everything that you've all been doing. And we're not going to use, plastic anymore.
Yeah. So how did it go then from that display to initiative, and then the initiative obviously came first, to the display, then to a committee?
So after the plastic bottles, we wanted to kind of formalize our presence in the mosque, and so we started doing monthly education programs. And so we would invite local experts on just various topics regarding sustainability. We'd have them come to the mosque and give a presentation and have like a Q&A. And we'd always have nice snacks and coffee and everything to get people to, attend. Through that, we started garnering more support and some people who were really interested in what we were doing and wanting to support us. So we decided that next year, in 2019, we would try compost collection during Ramadan.
Okay.
So we started the planning several months in advance so that we could purchase all the compostable serviceware, talk to the kitchen volunteers who are the ones preparing all of the food, and then make sure we had the service hired. And at that time, we were working directly with Total Organics Recycling.
Okay.
So that's kind of, it has been like an organic progression
Yes,
of
no
what's
pun
the
intended.
next, no pun intended. What's the next thing that we can do,
Right.
to really like start making an impact.
I'm speaking with Amna Anwar, who is the Sustainability Committee co-founder with her spouse at Daar Ul-Islam Mosque here in the St. Louis area. She's also Sustainability Coordinator at WashU. How many people are now on the committee?
So we have probably about 20 people who are volunteering with us right now actively. We also have like a larger group of people who are just generally interested in sustainability and who we keep in the loop on, what we're working on.
Yeah.
It's not a very formal committee. In terms of like active committee members, like we have a committee chair, who's Dr. Hilal Ikramuddin. He was also formerly the chairperson for the mosque's board.
Okay.
And he's been a champion for our cause, since we started. So he's our chairperson, and then we have myself and my husband, and then like a few people who are supporting us. But it's not super formal.
But it's more formal now than it was before, again, moved from initiative to committee. Yes. Why was it important to become official?
Yes, we really wanted this to be something that, if my husband and I moved away from St. Louis, if this was a formalized part of the infrastructure at the mosque, then, there would be more of that momentum that, could continue going on. Because we really, this isn't about me, this isn't about, my initiative. I really want this to be something that the whole community feels ownership over.
And why is it a big deal that the committee is now official at Daar Ul-Islam, sort of given its place regionally and perhaps even nationally?
Yeah. So the Daar Ul-Islam Mosque it's definitely the biggest mosque in the St. Louis region, and it's also like, people will also call it the Islamic Foundation, although technically Islamic Foundation of Greater St. Louis, I think, encompasses 3 different mosques. And there's like, I would say the mosque leadership has really done a great job over the past decades of having good relationships with like the county and with the city. And so it just felt really important that once they were adopting these practices, like it could be a way to hopefully influence like the areas around us and other places of worship.
Right. Now, what are you hoping people take away from sustainability practices and concepts that they learn at the mosque?
So one of our biggest goals has been education of the community, and we want. I think that, and I don't think that this is, specific just to Muslims and Islam. I think that a lot of times people of faith get really caught up in like the routine, and really thinking about like our faith as a holistic way of life, which is what it is. Islam is meant to be a way for us to live our life from, the moment we wake up to the, time we go to bed. So I really would just like our community to start thinking about sustainability as something that's part of their daily life.
Amna Anwar is co-founder of the Sustainability Committee at Daar Ul-Islam, one of the St. Louis region's most prominent mosques, and she's also Sustainability Coordinator at Washington University. Thank you, Amna, and Ramadan Kareem.
Thank you so much, Elaine.
Today's episode was produced by Avery Rogers.
Audio engineering and podcast design by Aaron Dorr.
Our executive producer is Alex Hoyer.
St. Louis on the Air is a production of St. Louis Public Radio. Understanding starts here.
Our podcast proudly supports St. Louis artists by using music from Life Creative Group.
Do you find yourself regularly listening to episodes of St. Louis on the Air? Suggest us to a friend you think might enjoy our conversations. And leave us a review and rating on Apple Podcasts on the App Store. It's the simplest way to help people discover our show. Thanks.
St. Louis Public Radio is a member-supported service of the University of Missouri St. Louis.
Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, providing more than 41,000 jobs in the production of wood pallets, railroad ties, white oak barrels, hardwood floors, and more. Details at choosewood.com.